It's Sunday, June 26, 2022. I've been working in the apiary a little bit today. Actually, my wife helped me too for a while. And we were going to OTS this colony here. we looked for that queen forever, could not find her. So I'm going to go a little different direction on that. What I did do is, you see there's another empty space here. I took out one or two of my so-so colonies that weren't doing very good at all, and I thought, I could requeen that colony. I could put a cell in it. I could introduce a mated queen when they're ready, or I could take that colony apart and make 2 or 3 or even more small mating nucs from that colony. Listen to the commotion here. This is almost deafening, it's so loud. And so that's what I did. And I think they're over here, although it's so bright I can hardly see the screen. So I've got some mating nucs over there, and you may see that I actually have some of my minis over there. I harvested some of the mini frames that I had put in these colonies way long time ago, and they've been in there way too long, but I harvested them anyway, a few bees, and we'll be probably just putting virgins in those when they're ready. And that brings me to another happening today. Now you're looking at the sun. I took 25 cells out of my finisher today. That's awesome. I have 13 in there now, so they'll be ready in another couple of days. And I just grafted another 30 cells. So here's hoping for the 30 more. The 13 seem to be doing okay. I hope they develop well, and hopefully the 30 take and turn into good queens. So we're getting there. We're days away from virgins and getting our mating nucs doing their jobs. So that means maybe 2.5 weeks. Could be a week, could be a week and a half, 2 weeks until freshly mated queens. Very happy about that. I've got a lot of work for these mated queens. I've got a lot of colonies that need to be requeened, and I've got a lot of ground to make up. We've lost a lot of colonies this year, so I need to make up a lot of numbers before winter. And last summer, the mating program, the grafting and mating program really shone. It really came through. This year, I'm handicapped by the fact that it had a delayed start like everything else. But it's happening. So we will do what we can do. Another thing we did today, very important step actually. The starter in the little 6-frame poly here, we took that apart and we took every frame out that didn't have brood. And actually we ended up taking every frame out because you constantly feed that and they just keep plugging that up with syrup. So we went through a couple of colonies and found some brood frames, and we stuffed that thing right full of sealed brood again. So we actually found the queen, so I was actually able to take the bees with those frames. So that was really great, and that colony is starting to get just plugged right full of young bees, and that's exactly what you want in a builder, particularly cell starter. The finisher seems to be doing well too, and I should probably service that again in the next few days to get the open brood up to the top, just to bring the nurse bees up. I don't know that makes such a big difference. I didn't do that last year and it worked out okay. But again, it's Sunday. I think it's about 5 p.m. and I'm going to head in and enjoy a little bit of my Sunday before the weekend is over. So take care and have fun. It's June 28th, 2022. It's a sunny Tuesday. So we collected our cells from the finisher on Sunday. So they've been sitting in the incubator since, and I put 24 in, and this morning we had 8 emerge. I don't know if you can see a little queen in there. So I've marked her already. Looks like she's eating some candy. So I need to get these 8, they're in my pocket, into the mating nucs. And today I need to move. I did a graft on Sunday, and so that graft is here in the starter. I only got 16 out of 30. Not sure. I think I was choosing too old of larvae. So I'm going to move those 16 over here to the finisher and do another graft. We'll try and do better this time. And also yesterday, I started working along this row. Did a couple over here, but mostly this row. So you can see most of these are in doubles. So anything that's in a double has the opportunity to have an OTS performed if the queen is older than last year. So I have some 2020 queens, a lot of 2020 queens, and some 19s. So they'll all get OTS. I've done a few of them. I've worked probably halfway down here. We'll keep doing that today. Also, of course, with OTS, first thing I need to do is find the queen. Sometimes that's easier than other times, especially in doubles. And while I'm doing that, see, you may recall that when I take that queen out, I don't just take her out and pinch her. I'll take her out with the frame she's on, and I'll set her over here behind me again, doing circles. So I'll set her over here in these resource nucs. So she'll lay, because if these colonies are strong and I'm OTSing them, that means she's still laying good, but she's getting kind of old. So, you know, I don't want to chance another winter for that one. So they'll lay for the summer. I can steal brood out of that on an ongoing basis and use that brood for either mating nucs or for splits for nucs for my mated queens and that sort of thing. Anybody that's in a single here is kind of lagging a bit. And what'll happen with those is either I'll just break those up. I may move the queen over here to lay too if she's laying. And I'll break those up and I'll either make mating nucs out of those, or I'll just take the queen out and introduce a virgin queen or a mated queen as you know the timing is appropriate for that kind of thing. So that's what the singles are all about. They just haven't caught on, haven't grown up into doubles, so they'll get requeened regardless of age. If they're last year's queen, if they're 2 years old, whatever. So that's what's been going on yesterday. I made a few mating nucs, of course, as I was doing my OTS. I salvaged a few more of my minis, made a couple of minis up, and so now I'm going to take these 8 over there, and hopefully I have 8 nucs ready for these virgin queens. I'm going to leave them in the cage. Of course, you see in the cage I've got a candy plug. I'm going to leave them in the cage at least for today because the nucs aren't very old. So I'd like to leave the nucs, 48 hours if I can, before I direct introduce a virgin to them. So I'll leave her in the cage for now, and I'll release those tomorrow. It's Thursday, June 30th, 2022. I haven't been updating much this week. I've been doing a lot of odd jobs around here. I did a bunch of OTS earlier on in the week. I think I mentioned that. And we made a few nucs, and we've had a few queens come out of the incubator. So it's nice to see some queens finally getting into the mating nucs. And grafting is kind of what I'm doing here right now. So what I've got here is I have a graft in my starter, and I also have a graft in my finisher. And the graft in the finisher is not quite ready to go to the incubator. The cells are capped there, and they look like really nice cells too. I think we're on a little bit of a flow, so that's helping me out, I believe. So I want to move this graft into the finisher along with the graft that's there. I can't get the two mixed up because there's different timing on the two. But I've pulled out some frames here. As I mentioned, we have a little bit of a flow happening, and so they're plugging everything up. what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this top box off. I'm just going to set it aside here. I got to be really careful because I've got very fragile cells in there. I want to pull most of my brood out of here, and I'll replace it with empty comb. I don't want this hive getting a lot bigger, but I have to make sure it doesn't plug out. Don't want them to swarm or anything. So I want to pull whatever I can out of this bottom box. Any brood will come up into the top box. And well, 4 frames max, I guess, because I've taken 4 frames out. And then I'll replace those frames in the bottom with empty comb and let the queen continue laying. This has got to be a very, very strong queen right colony. Of course, there's a queen excluder in the center. So that's what I'm doing here right now. I have to be very, very careful with this box. So this is my graft frame here with my cells. And so I need to just lift that off and set it over here onto this box very carefully. Okay, so that went pretty good. I moved up 3 or 4 frames. I replaced them in the bottom. I checkerboarded the empty frames into the brood nest. Nice warm weather, I can get away with that. She'll lay on those in the next few days. And now I need to move the graft from here into here. My nice space. When I was pulling frames out of the bottom, I pulled out a really nice pollen frame. So I'm putting that right up. Oh, sorry. I'm putting that right up next to my grafts. That's the kind of thing I can have in my starter too. Helps them out a lot. So these colonies are gonna have to. I'm gonna have to watch these closer because a little bit of a flow now. They're gonna start to get ideas that they should swarm. I didn't do a full swarm check there, but maybe I should have. I'll do that again in the coming days. I think we're okay yet. So I got to get that other graft out of there now. I'm going to try and video with one hand and move this with the other. So I always move this, bees and all. Having young bees in my finisher is not a bad thing. Sorry, I can't see the screen. There's 45 cups there. There's not a 45 take, but so now I'm going to graft again into here. I'll graft 45 more. Here's my old breeders that I'm going to be taking the graft from, and you notice they're in singles. They're not progressing that fast, and that's okay. I'm glad they're not overwhelming me. And I'm not worried that they're not, because they're, this is a 2019 queen here, and this is a 2020. So they were very good colonies. And that's why I chose to graft from them. And again, not the strongest colony in the world, and that's okay. I think she's high quality anyway. We had a round of 2020 queens that we made, and I say we, Buddy and I, we were doing some OTS, and he made all these OTS 2020s, and they turned out to be really good bees. So I'm going to choose a graft frame out of here and go and grab some larvae. Okay, so that graft is done. Went pretty good. I filled up the feeder again, and so now I've got 45 more in there, and there's a graft of 45 and a graft of 30 in the finisher. They're not all takes, of course. I'm not that good. I'm actually not very good at all. But I'm going to go see if I can find a queen and do some OTS perhaps. Okay, here's the story on this. I've been trying to OTS this colony. This is another one of those nice 2020 queens. She's just getting old and time to go. And I have not been able to find her. I looked and looked and looked. I had my wife looking and looking. So what we did, man, it was last Sunday. Today's Thursday. I took all the brood and I put all the brood in the top box and I shook all the bees into the bottom box. I placed this queen excluder between the two, assuming that then overnight or in the next day or two, most of the bees, or the nurse bees anyway, will come up into the top box, and then I don't have to look through that top box anymore for a queen. So I did just that. And then it was Monday or Tuesday, I came and looked through that bottom box. Nothing. No queen. I didn't see any eggs even. So then I looked through, I had the top box set up over here, and I went through the top box, and by cracky I found eggs in there. So I went through it, can't find the queen, can't find the queen. And I just went through it again today. I went through probably about 8 frames of the top box, and I noticed supersedure cells in there with lots of jelly. So the bees are doing what I wanted to do anyway. So I estimated the timing, and I wrote myself a note to check eggs on July 20th. I estimated the cells were approximately day 6 or 7. And so that means if it's day 6, that means another 10 days to emergence. And then I'll give her 10 days to mate, and we'll check for some eggs at that time. So they're just doing my work for me, which you can't complain about that. It's Friday, July the 1, 2022. Happy Canada Day. We're off to a market this afternoon. I haven't done a market in a long time, so we're kind of out of step with what we're supposed to do, but we're just going to have a lot of fun. It's a celebration of Canada's dominion as a country. I'm out here in the apiary just gathering some bees for my observation hive. People love it when I take the observation hive along to the markets. So I've got my hive right here, and I'll turn the camera around and show you what I've put together. This is an observation hive I built a few years ago. I made it out of white oak, which was a mistake because, boy, is it ever heavy. It's more of something that should sit still than be going places. So I've tried to include a marked queen. She is marked, but not marked very well, so she is going to be a challenge for people to find. And that's okay, because that's always a fun game. I stuck an empty medium up here just because this hive takes 2 deeps in a medium. I don't have a lot of mediums, and I certainly don't have any with honey in them at this point. So that's the hive, and I'm going to get that in the truck. There's blinds. There's these blinds that slide down to cover the windows to keep the bees cooler. Because as you can imagine, in the sunshine, this is a bee oven. And now there's a top that goes on here. This top goes on there. There's lots of ventilation holes. I don't think it's over ventilated. There's 3 on each side. This is built with a feeder option. We don't really have to do that, but it's there. So anyway, it actually has an option for an entrance here down at the bottom, so you could use this kind of as a full-time thing, but I don't, so the entrance is just blocked off. So I got to put this back together, get it in the truck, and head out. We're going to the market here soon. So with that, I'll leave you for this week and put this together, and I'll update you if anything remarkable happens at that market today. And it's gonna go quite late, so I didn't want to wait on the video until it was done. Bees look like they have a really nice day here. I kind of wish I was here working bees, but it's a lot of fun talking to people, visiting and selling honey, etc. It's kind of our local town. It's Canada Day celebration. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun. There's food trucks there too. I'm going to enjoy that part, you know. So have a great weekend and have fun.